been good. Getting a feel for everything, offensively, defensively. With the attention, the detail in there, focus, competitiveness, everything been great.
What kind of stands out, I guess, for you for these first few days, maybe in comparison to what you experienced last year?
I mean, just being able to start from ground zero and not having to worry about trying to figure out stuff and still going out there playing in the same token, especially once Doug took over and just changing up so much stuff on the go. Now we could just the mistakes we do make, we can come in the next day, correct them, understand what we did wrong, what's expected. You get a feel for every single guy. You're learning things, tendencies, certain habits, building great habits, but I have to worry about mid-season things. So that's one thing that definitely stands out.
Do you feel, given your experience and even having a little bit of experience with Doug already, do you kind of already know what to expect? Or do you think there's a lot to kind of be?
Yeah, you definitely know what to expect. But now, like I said, you can kind of just hone in and focus on his expectations, and what he wants, how he want it, and could drill it out, could talk it out. Got time to work on it. This second day of camp, it's still so much stuff we still need to cover.
Does the focus on the things that Doug is saying right now, is it maybe a little bit easier to do coming into a new season with a full training camp versus, trying to get used to, say, fix the play of the year last season?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier. You can kind of just start from scratch, start from a blank canvas. But also the guys that was here understanding what he wanted when he was here, so we kind of got some insight. But for the most part, just being able to start fresh, that's a major part for us.
Those expectations he has, especially with wanting to be one of the most conditioned teams in the league. Yeah. How does that kind of settle with you guys?
I mean, you should be. You know what I mean? Just even before it's being asked of you, understanding, if you want to play big minutes, if you want to be reliable out there on the court, you got to be in the best shape. Whenever your name is called, or if you're a starter, whatever it may be, you got to be in the best shape, especially competing as West. It's no joke. Every single night is a track meet, so we got to be ready for it.
Are there things you're seeing from Doug in terms of his growth as a young and new, relatively new coach?
I mean, it's when you a player and you played in the league so long and you have the knowledge even before coaching that Doug had, it just makes the transition even easier from my point of view. I think he got it. He understands the game. He understands it from a player perspective. Also, the way he coaches, you would think he was a 4-year coach at a college before he came here. And that just says a lot how much attention and detail he pays.
When you referred to the internal stuff the other day that you guys had to deal with, what was the most troubling aspect of that for you guys as a group?
I mean, just the unknown. Just the unknown. We didn't know if it was going to be a trade. Best player that was here ended up getting traded. You make a shift with that. Make a shift with bringing in new players. Losing guys. Coaching. It was just I don't know, a lot of stuff was going on that usually don't happen. I mean, since I've been in the league, I've never had a season internally like that where you have to just figure out stuff on the go every single moment. You had certain coaches leave middle of the season, take jobs elsewhere. It's just a lot. And when you come to a job, you expect to finish that job with everybody that's there. And when that didn't happen, it kind of just threw a wrench in the whole thing. And, you got to figure out things on the go.
I know it's never new for you, but when you're asked to play a bigger position, be it, as we've seen center at times, but mainly maybe a power forward or something like that, what kind of challenge is that to you and kind of the evolution of your game?
I mean, it's really no challenge. I mean, 1 through 4 in this league, you got to be able to be versatile as it is. As long as I'm not going out there guarding Jokic and Embiid, that's when I think you really run into the problem. But for the most part, our league is so versatile, 1 through 4, you got to be able to do everything. Bring up the ball, score, guard the wing, play in the transition. So, to me, it's just adapting with the time.
You mentioned how much work you put in this offseason. How much do you think that's prepared you for what you guys want to do, pressure defensively and play with pace?
I mean, I just want to be ready for whatever was asked. for me, so I could be able to go out there and do that. Even before what was asked of us as a team. I just want to fully prepare myself as best as I could so I could be ready for the season and do even more for my part, whatever that may be, to make sure we pull out these games.
Keegan's been challenged to be more aggressive. Doug talked about him hunting shots more. Over the last year that you've worked with him, has he picked your brain on how to be more aggressive without going over the top?
Yeah. We all know Keegan, the quiet type, but this time around he's definitely been more vocal. And the key component to our success is Keegan on both ends of the ball, offensively and defensively. We won't be able to go nowhere if we don't get the best out of him every single night. And we make sure we do our best to make sure he's capable to do that every single night. So from his standpoint, he's ready. He's been aggressive, and most importantly, he's just been more talkative than ever. So that alone is going to carry everything else along.
Even since two more guys playing kind of the same role that he did last year in terms of how much they rely on you as much as they did.
I'm just ready for whatever. I never really have a set anything in my mind. I'll just be ready and prepared for whatever. I'm a competitor. When I go out there and play, I'm playing. I try to play every single game. I want to be out there as much as possible. So that's always been my mindset.
Last one, guys.
Does that mean the offense is new compared to what it was last year?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily new. It's still the same lot of wrinkles, but more so understanding the options out of more, being able to not necessarily think, read the game more. I think last year we was trying to do too much too fast at times instead of reading the game, reading the options that we had. So now having the comfort of understanding, how Doug wants us to be able to play off these actions, with the personnel that we have, to everybody's strengths, so we could be as efficient as possible when we do run that. I think that's more so the key thing about it. We got a couple wrinkles here and there that's new, but for the main part, it's kind of a lot of the same stuff.
Thanks, Devo.